episode of Unscripted from Real to Real. I'm your host, Jay Hill. Tonight we have a really cool guest. If anybody knows who Nate Ewell is, um, his better half. And I am excited to talk to her just because, she's similar to me in the fact that we are both gifted and it's going to be an interesting conversation. So without further ado, let's get her on here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hey, yeah. So yeah, when I mentioned a little bit that we're both gifted, and I've seen some of the stuff that you've done, online or talked about whatever in that area. Do you um have you been like aware of your gifts for a long time, or is it something that's just kind of recently come to light, or
So the first memory I have, I was about 3, and I would be riding a tricycle outside, and there would be another child riding a tricycle with me. They had a bright red tricycle. Mine was rusty, not as pretty, but we would play together all the time. I knew
yeah,
nobody else could see them. We didn't really talk, but we would just play.
right,
Um, so 3 is my youngest memory, and then I would say the next memory that stuck out the most. I was in, I think, middle school, and my grandfather came to me when I was sleeping, and he told me it was okay, he'd be fine, but that he had to go
hmm,
and he would be fine. And I got woken up the next morning being told that he passed away that night.
oh
Um,
wow,
s- yeah, so it's been a constant in my life. It's just I hid it for the most part for many years because a lot of the times I would tell people and open up about my abilities. I'd be told I was full of shit. I didn't really have.
right,
Um, and it just wasn't the best experiences, so I hid it up until about 3 years ago when I finally felt comfortable enough, and I just
hmm,
started randomly going to paracons, and I would just meet with people, and readings would just organically come out in the wild, is how
hmm,
I usually put it.
right,
um, but no, it's been pretty much my whole life I've known about it. It's just recently I'm actually speaking about it.
right. So people are just tuning in. I did a faux pas. I didn't introduce my guest. This is Morgan Caldwell. I was just kind of like skipping through things here, and yeah. So I apologize, but Morgan, like I said, thanks again. And I can what your story kind of resonates a little bit with me because of the fact that I had memories all the way back to when I was one, and um, some of the things that happened to me when I was younger, and I realized that what I call the darkness that I ran into the darkness when I was you know throughout my you know younger years, and then in my 20s, and then a head-to-head confrontation. But so with myself as well, I can relate to you talked about you just kind of realizing that enough's enough, and you've kind of just come to terms with who you are. And I had to do that myself, and it's not easy. I mean, it's just I'm I'm going to ask you, did you go through the whole doubting phase? Do you still go through the whole doubting phase?
Oh, most definitely, I still do. My
Yeah.
confidence has
Okay.
picked up a little bit, but no, because
Right.
I ask Nate to practice with me every week because he's like, yeah, but you have the ability. He's like, you made me believe. I'm like, I know, but you need to keep up with it. And if I'm just sitting at home,
Right.
because I work at home, I'm home most of the time, I still need that
Hmm.
interaction for me to be able to tap in.
Right. Right. Yeah, I totally get that. With with the doubting and with the confidence and this and that, and I still, even though I've always been this way, and I've known for a long time that I've had gifts, it wasn't until after I had my stroke when my brain cleared up. Um, I stopped diluting my brain, and no alcohol, no drugs, no nothing. That's when spirit said, "Okay, now you got to walk through that door." And with that moment for you, was there an aha moment that you realized this is where I'm at, and this is something that I can't avoid anymore?
So honestly, that's a very good question. Nobody's quite asked me that, but mine's the opposite. So it was during COVID. People were drinking more. The
Okay.
thing with me is the second I start drinking, spirit comes through full force because for the most part, I was blocking spirit for about a decade. Every
Your
time he would,
inhibitions are down.
I'm sorry?
Your inhibitions are down when you're drinking. Everything's
Yes.
relaxed. You don't have any walls up, and it's like truth serum.
Yes, exactly. So spirit kept
So.
poking their way in if I had drinks, and finally I was like, all right, I will. I'll follow through with it. But also it was because so there was also a family member who passed that we didn't know he passed. Um, I was in like
Mm-hmm.
the worst depression for about a week, and it took about a week to find him. And they narrowed down to the day that he passed, and it was the day that it hit. So even if I didn't have drinks, I was feeling him full force, but I was kind of blocking it. So after that experience,
Mm-hmm.
I just knew I had to come out because people in my family were told about my abilities at that point on the day of his funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of inevitable at that point because it was people that never knew in my family that I had abilities. I was technically outed. And at that point I was like, well, if the
Mm-hmm.
people if people are being told, I might as well just tell people myself.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's weird how that works sometimes. It's almost like spirit gives you that shove, whether you like it or not.
Yes.
It's just kind of like here you are.
Yep.
So and I can definitely relate to that in that aspect. So you started um really kind of getting into some of this stuff. Tell me a little bit about your meeting with Nate.
Oh yes.
How did that come about?
So he was doing an event on the USS Salem in Quincy, which is about 20 minutes from me. So I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll check
Hmm.
out this event." Yes, I'm a medium, but I also have a skeptical mind. I don't believe,
Hmm.
everything is a ghost that comes through. Um, so I
Right.
chose the skeptical sailors, I think they may have been called. And so that was Nate's group. And walking throughout the ship, I like to go in completely cold. I don't know anything about any locations.
Right.
Um,
Yep.
and everything I was getting, I was asking him questions. I remember because there was one spirit who was with me before even buying tickets, and it was the chef from the USS Salem. So I was describing how he
Hmm.
looked, where he worked, a little girl on the ship, and he confirmed everything. And he was like, "Nope, that's right. Yep, that's right." And I think it was 2 or 3 days later, he sent me a message, and he was like, "So I have to ask you, how much did you Google before you bought tickets to that event?"
Oh my gosh, did he really say that?
Yes. Yeah,
What a
he learned
jerk.
not he learned not to ask that anymore.
I bet not.
Yeah.
Oh man,
But does it surprise
that's
you? You know
crazy.
Nate. Does it really shock you?
Not really. No, no. I would. He wants to kind of. He has a skeptical mind, so he really wants to find that proof. You know what I mean in that aspect, and that's what I love about Nate is the fact that the way he thinks and the way his mind is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And picking his brain and talking with him and stuff like that. So yeah, I like hanging out with Nate. It's pretty cool. But so yeah, so you had that engagement with Nate, and then what happened after that?
Um, well, I'm not sure what you mean what happened after that because I was doing the
Well,
Paracon things prior.
right, right. But how much? How did you guys get to where you would hang out a lot more? I mean, what was the catalyst to you guys hanging out and
Um,
saying, "Hey, I really liked hanging out with this person," and
I think it was just a lot of talking, and just a lot of different similarities, but the way his mind works, my mind works the same but slightly different. We do have similar thought processes, and because we'll sit
okay.
there on the phone for hours, and like I was telling you before the show, I'm like, "Oh, I noticed these little themes that people in
Mm-hmm.
different communities have." So I mean, we our
Mm-hmm.
brains work so similar. It just honestly went from talking on the phone a lot to then eventually, dating and
Right.
now
Right.
practicing
Right.
together and starting to work together.
Right. So do you think that that bond has gotten stronger, and has it helped make you um, m- more confident in what you're doing?
Yes, especially where we are now
Or
because we both our brains work different ways. So it was a little difficult in the beginning because, as you know, when spirit tells you something, you kind of have to decode it. You have to figure out,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Um,
Hmm.
and certain people think different ways. So if it would be difficult in the beginning, I would say something one way, and he's like, "I don't understand what you're saying. That doesn't make sense." And I'm like, "Well, you kind of have to like think
Hmm.
between the lines because if I break off from spirit too much to get things worded exactly how you need them, it's not going to work because it's breaking me off from my
Right.
connection." But
Right.
we've gotten past that for the most part. Um, and no, it's definitely helped with my confidence a lot, especially where
Right.
he's constantly
Right.
like, he constantly sings my praises. It's definitely helped my confidence.
Right. So I know that when I try to talk to another person, try to describe something in that sense, I use analogies. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I have to kind of, instead of trying to, like you were saying, that if I say it the way you're going to understand it, in that sense, you're it's kind of missing the point. You know what I mean? You're going to take it in a different way. With me, I use analogies, and I've always used analogies, and they can be the dumbest analogies, but when somebody hears it, it's like, oh, that makes sense. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
that's so
So
interesting.
yeah, yeah, I do a lot of analogies when I'm trying to describe something for psychic sweep or something like that. If somebody doesn't understand, I will throw in I will spirit will give me like I have like a Rolodex of analogies that I can kind of appoint that to go with what I'm experiencing,
Mhm.
and then they're like, "Oh, now I know what you're saying." You know what I mean? And it's not taking away from anything. It's just kind of looking at it in a different fashion so that they are able to understand what I'm experiencing or what I'm seeing or what I'm, and I think that that is just it's an easy way for me to communicate. You know what I mean? Um, so tell me a little bit about some of your investigations. I mean, you do psychic sweeps, I'm assuming.
Um,
You talked about you did the ship, you did the
mhm.
Salem,
Yes.
so that would be considered a psychic sweep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
typically, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Um, yeah, so typically, when we're just walking around, I will tell him what I'm getting. And we've noticed
Hmm.
as of the past few that we did it at I think it might have been Henniker College, a college in New Hampshire. We did an investigation with some college students with Tom Donahue, Candy, and Derek Fetters, and Nate and I, and we each had a group. But I've noticed, I think that was the first time I noticed, no, actually, USS Salem. So I'm able to just tell them where to put equipment, and it always we tend to get activity where
Hmm.
I tell them exactly to put the equipment. But at the USS Salem specifically, the little girl showed me a Boo Buddy, where I don't know equipment.
Hmm.
I use cat balls and I have a Freddy Krueger thing. That's all I know. So I call them doodads.
Right.
Um, but the
Doodads.
yeah, but the teddy bear on the USS Salem, I went up to Alan and I was like, "Do you have a teddy bear kind of similar to the one on your shirt?" Because they were selling merch. I said, "Because there's a little girl, and if you bring out a Boo Bear, the little teddy bear, she's going to interact and play with it." And we were the only group that night that had activity, specifically with that piece of
Hmm.
equipment. And then at the college as well, I told Nate, I was like, we need to put equipment here. I was like, I want to use my Freddy thing. And he wanted to put one of his pieces of equipment out. And they were both going off at exactly the same time based on
Okay.
where I said to put them. And in Salem, we completely separated from the group because I felt upstairs, a pull upstairs. And we went into one room. I'm like, no, the energy's here, but it's on the other side. We went to the other room, exactly
Hmm.
where the energy I was feeling. There was a mirror that most definitely is a portal. So Nate set up some
Hmm.
equipment out in front of that because I told him, I'm like, you're gonna get stuff coming out of the mirror. So something kept
Hmm.
touching, I believe it was a music box. And then we got some incredible evidence, the evidence that we got that he's still trying to debunk. Because it's like a gold
Hmm.
wall and you can see a shadow moving on the wall. There was nobody upstairs. We were the only ones. We went back in there. There was no like movement to make anything make a reflection off of it, but you can see almost the silhouette of a person trying to like see. The way I was getting it is they were trying to see how far they could get to the music box without actually making it go off.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I tend to be able to know where to put the stuff, and Nate's the technology one, so he knows what to put there because I don't know any equipment.
Right, right. So let me ask you. Um, I've actually done that as well for a friend of mine in Gettysburg, where she had me on her phone and she was taking me around. I was doing it via on her phone, and so I was telling her where to place this stuff or go upstairs, or and that's where they would have activity. She and the lady and this girl thought it was the coolest thing ever, and I'm like, it is kind of cool, you know. Do you talking about your gifts? Um, have you read? Do you know how to read pictures?
Um, you know, well, I guess I have. I was gonna say I haven't practiced that, but there was a time that I asked Nate to print out some pictures of locations, but put them in envelopes. I never looked at the pictures when
Mm-hmm.
I read them though. But then we were looking at his evidence that he took throughout the years because he had a photo album. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't I typically don't remember things that I read, but I just remember the feeling I got from the specific one. It was a chair that he used to have. And I said, it doesn't make sense
Mm-hmm.
because it's a chair, but I feel like my head is completely gone because I keep getting my head jerking back and I feel like it's gone. And
Right.
he just looked at me. He goes, well, the person who owned that chair was in a car accident and that's what happened to them.
Right.
So I guess
Right.
I have read
Right.
pictures. I just completely
So
forgot.
right. So reading. So I get. I have a friend of mine who I've investigated with, and every now and then he'll send me pictures in my messenger.
Hmm.
He'll just send me a random picture, and with nothing in it, just the picture. And I'm like, so I kind of have to go through. I'm like, okay. I'm like, is this the location or is this something? He's like, you figure it out. He always does that to me. He's like,
Hmm.
here. So I'll look at the picture for a couple seconds or whatever. And usually I'll get if it's important or if it's something that he should know, I will get a whole list of who it is, what it is, where who owned it, the whole 9 yards. And then he's like, "Yeah, you were right on this, that, and the other thing." And it's like, so actually, uh, I had a mentor. Um, her name is Shauna Maria, and she helped me to kind of hone that reading pictures.
Hmm.
Once I was able to do that, that's one of my favorite things to do. I love reading pictures
Yeah.
just because I can really tap myself into it. I actually started reading texts. I don't know if you've ever done that. If you read a text, if somebody sends you a text
Mm.
and he says, "I really got a question for you. There's some things that are going on, and I kind of would like your help and this and that," and that's all I need. And then I could read that text to what she's going through, what she's going to ask me. So it's kind of like traveling. It's like remote viewing in that sense, but I do it through a text.
Hmm.
That's a cool, not a trick, but it's a cool way of doing things as well. Um, so, and I think that the reason why I bring that up is because when I was asking you about pictures, because not only I'm a medium and you're a medium, we're both different.
Yes.
There's not one medium or psychic medium that's the same. I don't care what anybody says. We are all individuals. We're all different. We may have similar skill sets, but they're all different.
Exactly.
And so when I look at you in that sense, and when I've seen you in your picture with you and Nate before and this and that, part of the thing that I really wanted to discuss with you and have you on the show is the fact that um, you have these gifts in you, and the way I look at you now is kind of like you have quite a few abilities that you haven't really even tapped into yet.
Yes.
And I think that
Yeah.
that, but
Hmm.
you don't entertain that yet. You're about timing. It has to be the right time to do the right things.
Yeah.
If that
So
makes sense.
It makes total sense, and I'm gonna say you're right on the money because I think it was you're the second person that has mentioned this when I've been on a podcast. The other person, it was Blaine Rohan who mentioned it, and it was maybe a month and a half ago. I was on the phone with Nate, and I was like, "No, I have a bunch of abilities that are going to come out this year." I said, "I've not even tapped foot," and I was like, "Even with the abilities I
Right.
use now, I'm not fully tapped in. This is me kind of half-assing it still." But honestly,
Right.
it's kind of a fear factor for me just
Oh yeah.
because well, so I completely
It's
blocked it.
stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yes, that's a big part of it too, but it's also when I was younger and I completely forgot about it up until recently. Literally, spirits used to come to me just like they would show themselves in the sixth sense at a certain point.
Hmm.
Literally in the 3D world, like you have to take so many second looks because it looks like they're right there. And it scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. And I completely forgot that I had that
Right.
ability. Because I see
Hmm.
them just slightly
Yeah.
different now because they show themselves in different ways.
Right. 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 I've had that. I had that happen. I saw my first full body apparition when I was 16.
Mhm.
I was more mad that she woke me up than me being scared of her. She was
Yeah.
standing at the foot of my bed, and I woke up, and the first thing I said was "What?" because I value my sleep. Even when I was young, I would come home from school in high school or grade school, whatever, and I would always take a nap before right after I got home from school.
Yeah.
I'd be sleeping, and I do that to this day. If I'm not working and it's in the afternoon, I'm sleeping, and that's just the way it was. So when this lady came to the foot of my bed, and I knew that she was a spirit, she wasn't real. I mean, she was real, but she wasn't, physically real. I was pissed. I was mad she woke me up, and I'm like, so I've never really been scared of spirits in that sense. Um, but yeah, when I talking about your gifts and the things that you're able to do is yeah, they just kind of they come out. See when I look into people inadvertently when I'm talking to somebody, especially people who are gifted. I don't care what anybody says. Mediums, no mediums, and it's just I'll know people that are gifted, and they will not have one clue that they're gifted. But is it my place to say they're gifted? I'm still up in the air about that. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know if it's my job to say, hey, guess what, you have gifts. But if something like spirit says pushes me to do it, I might say something. But
Yeah.
it's kind of like, and that's the way I look at it too. Would you feel that if would you be are you driven like from spirit to explore the conversation with somebody, or to how this is like when you're walking through a haunted location and you get these images and you get this stuff, and you feel led to speak what you see. Okay.
Mhm.
There's been times where I've walked through locations where I get nothing, and I've always said if I don't see it, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to make it up. I'm not going to say or possibly say it could be this. The moment you say it could be, then you've already taken the
Right.
proof out of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
No, I know what you mean exactly.
um, yeah. So when I see stuff or say stuff, I have to be led to do something, and that's why I don't really do like readings for people anymore,
Mhm.
personal readings, because I kind of feel that that's not where spirit wants me. I could help people if I'm led to do so. Yeah, I'll follow suit, but 9 times out of 10, I'm not. The whole call this number if you want a reading, or go to my website and I'll give you this. I can't do that. I don't feel that is, I don't know. I'm like 50-50 on that. I don't know how you feel what I call them armchair mediums.
Oh, armchair mediums? I don't think I've heard that term.
Yeah, it's kind of like an armchair or yeah, an armchair quarterback. or a backseat driver,
Oh, okay.
or you know what I mean. In that analogy, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Whereas in everybody says they're medium and everybody can do this and everybody, which is hogwash.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Would
Um,
you
yeah.
would you agree that if you're soul contracted and you never when you had your soul contract and you never put in there that you wanted to pursue the spiritual gifts, but you wanted to learn something else, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Do you think that that is legit in that sense, or do you think that everybody has gifts and they're just not using them?
I think everybody has gifts. Yeah, there's some people who don't use them, but well, actually, it's hard to say. Is it gifts or is it just the instinct and like the gut feeling that everybody has? Who's to really say if they're gifts or not?
Right, right. The intuitions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, and as far as you said with the readings, so there have been times it took me the first time I ever got paid for a reading, like actual money, was 2 years ago. And it just like I know in my heart and my soul that I'm supposed to be doing this for a living. It's just not that way. Because like you said, I
Right,
don't ask.
exactly.
Yes,
Yep.
I don't. Because people have asked me like, would you do gallery readings, this and that? And I was talking to Nate. I was like, I don't think I could do that. That's too much pressure. And he was like, what are you talking about? He was like, we've been at parties and everything, and you're sitting there doing a gallery reading because you're reading pretty much every single person in the room. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm just enjoying
Right.
myself. I've had some drinks. They're open to it. It's not me
Right.
having an audience, being paid to do this. But also, I tend, and I'm curious how you do readings. It doesn't happen in all of them, and I hate saying it out loud because every time I do, my shadows get poked at. But I tend to poke at people's shadows. So things that they have completely blocked from their memory usually is what comes up. So it's like the not so nice memories that nobody like they've
Oh
repressed.
yeah.
And that
Hmm.
tends to be,
Hmm.
it doesn't happen with every reading, but it tends to happen quite a bit. And every time I mention to somebody that that happens, my shadows typically get poked at too because everybody has shadows. You can work on them, but it's a continuous thing. You're never done working on your shadows because you have to balance the light with the dark.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Most definitely. I have done gallery readings.
Mhm.
I've actually been humiliated in uh in a setting with these older ladies wanted me to come to a place where I used to do my podcast. It was a haunted hotel, and the owner said these ladies want you to come and tell them ghost stories or whatever. It was around Halloween one year, and I was like, and she's like, "What do you charge?" I said, and then only the number that came into my head was $300. I said, "Okay." She said, "Okay," and we're five ladies, okay, and they wanted me to do what I do, which was basically tell them stories and do some mediumship stuff and whatever. And I said, that's fine. When I got there, there was only one spirit that came through, and it was this lady, and it was her one of her husband's best friends, and the other ladies. I don't know what was going on, but the one lady was across from the other lady were laughing at each other, and it was in a hotel room, and it was very discerning. I mean, they were laughing, and basically they were laughing at me because of what I was doing. And the one lady got mad and she yelled at them and said, "You guys are being disrespectful," and this and that. That it didn't matter. But when she was talking about that she used to read poems and this and that, and I told her, I said, "Don't ever let your gifts be sidestepped. If that's where you feel that you need to do, then that's what you need to do." And
Yeah.
when I left, and when she shook my hand, she squeezed my hand, and I was like, "Ow!" But I could feel the energy from her, like I survived that. You know what I mean? It was very humiliating, but I had to experience that because at some point that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And that was one of the fears that I have of being a medium and being, a lot of people think it's a bunch of hogwash and people are fake and this and that. So we both live in that world.
Yeah.
and it sucks. And so have I want to ask you, because I said that little bit of a story and about the humiliation and this and that, and I've done gallery readings.
Mhm.
Have you yet to had that experience where somebody where, let's say, the negative vibes have kind of come to you and people are talking down on you and discrediting you and
Um, yeah, so that's part of the reason that I just stopped doing things is because I had no support. I would be told
so
that I was full of crap, but then parties would come around when I was older, like starting at 16. Oh, did you know Morgan can do this? Morgan can do that. Literally, I became a party trick. But then when nobody else was there, no, you're full of crap. You can't do anything.
right. Support is huge, especially when you've discovered your gifts or that you're pursuing your gifts or allowing your gifts to work within you. I don't care who you are, you need that support. You
Yeah,
need to be surrounded by that collective of other mediums or other people that respect that gift. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You could be surrounded by skeptics, that's fine, but as long as they support you in what you're doing, and they can say, "I just don't see it, but I'll support you." Still, that support goes a long way, and a lot of it now in the paranormal field is the it's in the air of people are more jealous and frustrated, angry at other people because they're doing things that they wish they did or whatever. And I just can't. I have to limit myself with Facebook and all that stuff because there's so much drama in the paranormal world because everybody wants their 10 seconds of fame and whatever. And you and I both being gifted as we are, we see right through all those bullshit posts and all that drama, and it's just like it's really just it's really discerning, and it's really kind of sad because when I started getting into paranormal, I really thought that the paranormal was a big huge family and we all would kind of hug it out, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
now it's like almost every man for himself, and I don't think it should be that way.
yeah. No, I agree. It shouldn't be that way. But no, I also went into it thinking like, oh, everybody's all buddy buddy. I would assume I'd be buddy buddy with
Hmm.
people, and then you'd see them again at the next event and be like, oh, okay, that was weird. Completely different interaction than the last time.
Right, right. Yeah, it's frustrating, but and it's funny because and I know you know the answer or the statement that I'm going to make is true is that when people are talking shit about you and you know who it is or you interacted with that person, it's like I know who's talking shit. I know who's you know making stuff up or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's just like, do you realize that we see you?
Yeah,
It's like you can't hide behind your Facebook post and think oh, nobody's gonna know who I'm talking about. It's like, really, you're talking to a bunch of gifted people who could see you,
yeah,
and that's the way I look at it. And so that's why I don't entertain anybody's drama. I'm just like, whatever. That's the way you want to be. That's the way you want to be. You know,
yeah,
but yeah. So sorry, I'll get off my soapbox now. I just sometimes I get a little worked up about the way things I see in the paranormal, and I think it should be. But anyways, going back to the paranormal investigations, is there an investigation that you have been on that really kind of blew your mind?
um, I would say probably the Satanic Temple in Salem. That was the one that had that video that Nate caught. But also,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, there was activity. I wasn't allowed in the places because we certain places you couldn't go into. Um, but
Hmm.
like I wanted to go in the basement. I didn't know going there it was an old funeral home. I didn't know at one point in time that's what it was. And I was so drawn to the basement, but also the second we pulled into the parking lot, my head was killing me. And I'm like, why is there a little
Right.
girl here? And apparently there
Right.
was a little girl who her sister harmed her, and then the one that got hurt is the one that got locked away basically. Because I wanted to go upstairs
Hmm.
too into what felt like a disappointment room, but it was blocked off. It's just a lot of things popped up, but then also the fact that we had this evidence that I probably shouldn't be talking about because Nate hasn't released it yet. So sorry, Nate. But it's just like he's trying to debunk it. Like we can't. There's no way that I could think of to explain it away. But I'm not the debunker, the one that breaks things down.
Hmm.
But it's I've also never seen a video like that.
Hmm.
I would
Right.
say that's the most. But also I've not actually done many in-person investigations. The majority of the practice and
Right.
everything that I do, we just practice over the phone. And I like to challenge myself.
Right.
And I just say, okay, pick a
Right.
location. And he says start. I have no clue what we're practicing. Some of those have been
Right.
interesting. Some of the stuff I've got, especially when I there was one that I channeled a man's voice, and it took a while to get him to
Hmm.
back off. And then at the end of that, he's like, "So would you like to know who I think you were talking to because you were describing him when your voice changed?" I said, "Sure." He goes, "Oh, H. Holmes." I had no clue who that man was. I don't follow serial killers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now that it's funny you say that because I don't do channeling because I that's the rule that I have in my body is that I don't do channeling. Um, I don't do physical pain either. Like a physical emotion is different. You know what I mean? If I sad or something like that, that's different. But for but I made this clearly um one of the main things is that I can't experience pain or a spirit can't show me, oh, I had a heart attack or I had a head injury or something like that because I have so much pain in my body as normal.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to differentiate between which is which, if it's real or if it's from spirit or if it's, you know what I mean? So,
that makes
yeah,
sense.
I don't, right, right. So,
Oh,
um,
I wasn't willingly channeling. That wasn't my intention whatsoever. I was just like astral projecting, walking through how it was in his point in time. And he just kind of forced himself
right,
into
right,
me. Yeah.
right. So, like I said, well, that gets to the point that I was there. What happened to me because I live in Wisconsin and because we've had serial killers here. Now, there was one that I don't really know anything about or did know anything about because I don't have a I don't like serial killers. I don't follow them. I don't talk about them. I don't, you know what I mean?
Same.
So it's an icky feeling. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's a feeling. It's just ugh, you know. So there was one day when I woke up and this man came into my brain and wouldn't leave. And I was like, okay, because I would get all these images and all this stuff, and I remembered the red and black checkered jacket and all this other stuff, and then come to find out that I got his name, and then I didn't. I had to look it up,
Hmm.
and then come to find out it was a serial killer, and he was from Wisconsin, did all this horrendous stuff, and I'm like, okay, you need to go. I don't I don't want to think about you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to, I don't, whatever he was trying to do was trying to get me to communicate somehow or relay a message. I'm like, I don't want nothing to do with you. It took me 2 days to get him out, to get him out of my head.
Oh, he was persistent. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I just, yeah, it freaks me out. That's what freaks me out. I mean, I can go up against an entity from the darkness and be pushed on the floor and be scratched and all this stuff. But for some reason, that entity, that type of serial killers freak me out.
Mhm.
I don't know why, they just do, you
'Cause
know?
you can
And
feel
I
what they were
guess
like as a person probably, would be my guess as to why.
yeah, and it's just a it's just like it's like the worst kind of flu you could have,
Mhm.
you know? That's the way I look at it. But um so let me ask you, do you do any remote viewing?
Um, I do, yes. I'm not sure. So I've been trying to figure out, in my opinion, not that it's an educated one, but I consider remote viewing and astral projecting kind of similar things. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, no. So when Nate and I practice, like I said, literally he just says go. I have no information, but I'm in my mind, walking. Well, not my mind, because I feel like I'm there tangibly. Um, I'm walking through these
Mhm.
homes, these different locations, and I've noticed
Right.
lately that there's different spirits there, but they don't all know that they're all there because I'm somehow walking through. I don't know if I'm walking through different timelines of the home or everything's just overlapped at once. It's, and I've also noticed that
A
there's a few.
lot of it
Mhm.
yeah, but a lot of it is overlap.
It is okay.
It is. A lot of it is overlap and a lot of it is residual. So it's kind of like weeding through. It's almost like when you're going through a bunch of bushes and you've
Hmm.
got to kind of push away this one and push away that one. Some of them got thorns and some, you know what I mean? It's kind of like which is which. That's what sucks about remote viewing is that when you have that collection. So um, I would suggest that when you do that, because it sounds like you're kind of putting your whole consciousness there. Because if you
Could
say
be.
you tangibly feel like you're walking,
Oh yeah.
yeah, don't do that. Don't do that because you can. There are things that can affect you in a way where you could possibly disconnect that
Okay.
line. Okay,
Okay.
now I'll give you an example. Okay, I I was driving when I was driving to work one time a couple years ago. Um, I was thinking about I've gone because it's like an hour to work, and I there was like several different ways that I've already gone. So what I was doing was like, okay, do I take this way? I'm driving down the highway, and I'm thinking, okay, I took it this way, and I could go this way. No, I already been that way, and this and that. So what I was doing inadvertently was taking my conscious and viewing that road of what I had already taken. I'm like, okay, that's on that road, that one's that one, that one. And then I realized what I was doing. And when I snapped back into my head, I didn't know where I was. I felt like I wasn't I wasn't present. It was like where am I? What am I doing? It's like almost like it was like shock to the system. Then I realized that that's what I was doing, and I was like, okay. So when I look ahead, when I drive someplace, I have to kind of just not think of it as in just kind of like briefly, just like okay, I can go there. You know what I mean? Because of
Yeah.
the the remote viewing that I've done in the past is that because spirits told me this when I first started doing remote viewing. I said, don't put your whole self there because it's dangerous because you're kind of doing that like astral projection, and you're kind of separating your out of your body, so to speak. You know what I
I
mean? And so I try
Yeah.
not to, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense because there was another one that we were doing too with Nate. We were doing, it ended up being the USS Constitution. Um, but
Hmm.
I noticed with them, because when I'm walking through and I feel like I'm physically there, when it's so real, I
Hmm.
can feel it. They, for the most part, see me. But when I was on the USS
Yes.
Constitution, yes.
Yes.
But I
Hmm.
noticed on the USS Constitution, I because I was a woman on a ship from that time period, they were not they were nowhere to be seen. I had to make it so my feet were not planted on the ship. I had to float from above for me to be able to actually view anything at that location.
Right. And that's a cool trick too. Aerial view is awesome. I
Yeah.
love remote viewing aerial view. I had to do that recently, and that's how I was able to see the water, the railroad tracks, and this other stuff. And they're like, "How do you know that?" I'm like, "I'm aerial viewing it, man. I could overlook all this stuff and different timelines as well."
Mhm.
Now that is that isn't easy to do, but for me with remote viewing, it's kind of a natural thing. I just do it. You know what I mean? People are like,
Right.
"How do you do that?" It's like it just comes natural, you
Yeah,
know.
I couldn't tell somebody
So
how to do
yeah,
it. I
so
just do it.
right. So the best way to remote view someplace, I would say, in my opinion, is an aerial view. It just makes it you can look into the building without actually sticking your feet or walking tangentially through the. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
you've done the aerial. You know how to do the aerial,
I do.
and it's like hijacking a freaking drone. You know,
Yeah,
it's it's
but
it's really it's really cool.
speaking of that, have you ever done that while you're like still actually doing things in the real world, like moving around?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I used to do it, and I
Um,
go ahead.
yeah, I have, and that's when I kind of like I'll forget what I'm doing in real life.
Hmm.
I'll be like, shit, what was I doing? You know, because my mind was kind of like over there doing something else or looking into something else, and like so my friend will send me the picture and I'll look at it and then I'm like, okay, and then I'll close it and I'll be making coffee or something, but I'm still thinking about that in my head and I'll look into it and then sometimes it'll be like, oh, I was making coffee. Shit, I gotta go back doing it.
Yeah,
That's just it. I try not to do that too much, but yeah, but the whole aerial thing is the way to go. I mean, in my opinion, because it makes more
yeah,
sense, you know. But I have had to look into places. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
don't. I don't look at myself when I do remote viewing. I don't look at myself as a whole person. I'm just looking through my eyes. You know what I mean? So I don't try. I try not to put myself there where people can see me. That's happened a couple times where people have looked at me and I'm like, oh shit, they can see me.
Yeah,
You know.
I didn't even know how I did it. It just happened. But also the whole like aerial
Hmm.
view. And I was talking to Nate, and I kind of forgot that I did it. It was more when I worked in this one area where it was not a good neighborhood, and I had to walk a block or two to my car. And I would always
Hmm.
throw myself out, and I would be watching myself and all of my surroundings as I walked to my car. Like I could see myself
Oh
outside of
yeah, yeah,
myself.
yeah, 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 well, yeah. That's a thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying that you have those gifts. Like when I brought that up earlier, that you have a lot more that you haven't really experienced or you've kind of let out of the box, so to speak. So, and that's one of them. That's something that you're just kind of starting to tap into, and
Hmm.
I do that as well. But I pretty much I have to my third eye. I have to basically kind of turn it off sometimes because I have to kind of keep myself grounded a little bit, especially in my house.
Hmm.
I mean, my house, my my wife doesn't believe in any of this. You want to talk skeptic? Yeah,
So is she coming to
she
Broadhead
doesn't.
next month?
No,
No.
no. She doesn't like any. She had night terrors as a kid, and so she doesn't like horror movies. She doesn't like scary movies. She doesn't like any of that stuff.
Oh, I can understand that. Yeah.
So when that's why I don't talk to her about any of my investigations
Hmm.
or what I do. I don't talk about my gifts with her. I don't talk about it's just the way it is. And I respect that.
Hmm.
It's like that's her. That's just the way she is. But there's a lot of people that I know that don't have that support system, and I'm one of them. But that's fine. I mean, I have the community. I have friends. I have a small circle of friends that are very supportive and this and that.
Yeah.
But yeah, um, having experienced the things that we've experienced, especially in you know having gifts and being psychic mediums and whatnot, would you think that because of the way that your gifts are and my gifts are, do you think that do you think we're missing out on people who don't experience that? Because we've been this way, or I know that I've been this way pretty much my whole life.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And it begs the question: what was it like when people were normal? Because I don't consider myself normal.
Yeah, I don't know because we both tapped in like so early, and even though I ignored it for so
Yeah.
many times, for so many years, I
Yep.
even when I ignored it, it still
Right.
poked its way through. I never could.
Oh yeah. Same here. Same here. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Totally.
I don't know how to answer that because I also have never known
Right.
normal.
Right. It's just weird. It's kind of like when you think about it, it's kind of like, how do other people live like that? Do they see things and feel things differently than we do? And I would have to say yes, but
But
I'm an
yeah,
emotional person. I don't know about you, but I'm severely emotional. I mean,
mhm,
like my emotions. I'll give an example. When I was in high school, um, I had a lot of girlfriends, not girlfriends, but girls that were friends. And they always said, "Man, I could tell you anything, and we love talking to you. You're such a good listener." Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, "But you won't date me." And there's something about you that we just feel connected to you, but we don't look at you that way. And it's like, Now, granted, I've been married 3 times, but you know, that's just it is what it is.
mhm.
But I have had my slew of girlfriends over the years, but it's kind of like having gifts and being social. I wonder if it's something that makes us unique in that sense.
Um, Probably because I know. Well, it's funny you mention that because somebody said to me, they're like, I think part of your gifts is, you bring people together because you just start a conversation, you do this and that. But the crazy thing is, I'm honestly one of the most antisocial people ever. Um, Mostly
Right.
because I never really had a support system. So once somebody, continuously does me wrong, I just don't really linger around much longer. I very much like kind of kept to
Mm-hmm.
myself. So it's so weird
Mm-hmm.
that when but it was completely different around like-minded people. It's just I never had like-minded people before. And I would say since going to Paracons, yes, there's drama at Paracons, but that's also where I started to feel comfortable to be myself again. Since then I've
Right.
definitely, yeah, and my emotions and everything have opened up. I try my hardest to be social. I don't take a year anymore to answer messages for the most part. Um, but no,
Right.
yeah, connecting back in, it's definitely connected me to emotions a bit more. Made me more social. So yeah, maybe it is something to it because when I was ignoring my gifts is when I was kind of like in a depressed, antisocial funk.
Yeah, I would have to say that too. But you see, I had drugs and alcohol for my support system.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I diluted my basically when I realized that I was not realizing yet quite yet that I was gifted in that sense, but like you said, spirit and some of those things just poke out without warning, and you're right there in the thick of it, and then you kind of just turn back around and kind of run away from it again. I was running for years from myself. You know what I mean? And then I
Yeah.
realized once I stopped, I was like, oh shit, this is actually who I am. Huh. Who would have thought? You know?
Right. Yeah. It feels there's a familiarity to what you're saying to me. Uh Not the same
Hmm.
thing. I'm saying it and then I'm not going to go into details because I don't want to share my details and I'm not trying
Right.
to dig into yours.
Right.
But
Right. Right.
you
Right.
went through certain things that traumatized you. You went through some of the darkest moments of your life and you dealt with it the
Hmm.
best way you knew how.
Hmm. Yeah.
And if that's what it took, that's what it took. It didn't it didn't
Right.
take you out completely. So it granted
Right.
some people say, oh, that's not the best thing to do, but sometimes that's what works for people in whatever period of time to the capacity that they need it to. Am I condoning other
Right.
people to do this? No, I'm not. I'm not condoning
Right.
other people to
Right.
do it. It's just
Right.
sometimes that's what happens.
Hmm.
I'm sorry. I feel like I
Yeah.
went a
I
little off
mean,
track. It's just something was,
no, 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 no. This is why it's called unscripted.
yeah.
We talk about anything, you know. So, but yeah, I don't know. I really was once I came to that aha moment, you know, and then I was like, shit. And that's when everything kind of opened up, and I was like, and it was always there. I was just trying to shovel shit on it. You know what I mean? I was
Yep.
trying to bury it. I was trying to, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
I would use it when I thought I needed to. And I'll tell you that, when you were talking about before, we were talking about alcohol, drinking alcohol, and you would, you'd be more open.
Hmm.
When I would do that, and I started when I was really drinking, and I would be in a bar, and I would open myself that way, or I would look into somebody's past in that sense. Holy crap, would I get a headache from hell until I would stop talking. Because what happened was, Spirit said, yeah, you could do this, but you can't do it when you're drinking because it's not stable. You're
Hmm.
not stable enough to convey this information because you're inebriated. And that's basically what it came down to. It took me a long time to realize that I couldn't do that.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? That alcohol would just be like, yeah, I could be open, but it was like being open standing on the edge of a cliff of a skyscraper that
Yeah.
there isn't anything, nothing stable. You're not holding on to anything. And so that's why I had to, when I stopped drinking, and then things become more clear.
Hmm. No, so see, I don't ask many people because I don't like to point out, like, oh, hey, I very much enjoy, because I'm a whiskey girl. I like my whiskey. So I still do drink.
So do I.
Yep.
I don't. But bourbon whiskey was my drink.
Yep. Whiskey's my go-to. But I'll even tell Nate, I'm like, nope. So are we gonna definitely practice? Hang on, sorry, some weird little pop-up thing came up. I was like, if we're gonna practice, I'm not gonna drink, I said, but I would appreciate if you didn't have a drink or anything because I don't like to read people when they drink, but also it's just gonna add some confusion. But I did notice when I drink and I do start reading people, the interesting thing is, and Nate's seen it too, and neither of us can explain or understand it, and I don't think I've come across another person, like I said, very few I've asked. I completely sober up once I start reading. I will have a drink, part of a reading will come up, I'll be dead sober. And I'll have to crack if I'm just trying to enjoy myself, and yes, kind of enjoy a buzz, I have to keep drinking because I just sober up after every part of the reading.
Hmm. That's something that you put in your contract beforehand. That's
Okay.
something that you basically had said, yeah, I can't do that inebriated. So if I'm going to drink, then this is what's going to happen. And somebody's going to flick on a light switch and you're going to see everything. It's like, okay. And I've experienced something like that too. But instead of you being sober, I
Mhm.
got a massive headache
Oh
where
yeah,
I could not, I couldn't, I would force myself to continue, but I couldn't because I'd be on the floor. That's how
mhm.
bad the pain was. And
Oh.
so that was where you become sober. I get physical pain. That's why I stopped doing it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So there are kind of fail safes, sort of, so to speak, for certain people who are gifted that they probably put in there beforehand. You know what I mean? And
Never thought
that's
of
the
it that
way I
way.
look at it.
That
Hmm.
makes sense.
So yeah, but yeah, I would rather, you know, like now. I mean, I couldn't drink if I wanted to. I mean, I physically couldn't. But
Mhm.
do I miss it? Yeah, I miss bourbon. There's so many different flavors of bourbon out now that I missed out on. You know, it's like shit. But do I feel bad about it? No, I don't. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to God because of the fact that I knew how it was going to happen.
Right,
I
but you're
asked for it and I got what I, huh?
sorry, I was just gonna say, but you're also in a much better place in your life, and everybody has their moments, but you're honestly the happiest that you've ever been.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because I was always, every time that I would drink and I would wake up, I'd have such anxiety. It wasn't even funny. You know,
Mm,
my goal was to, when I would wake up in the morning, it was how fast can I get through this day so I can go drink when I get home? You know what I mean?
yeah.
And that wasn't, that wasn't, it wasn't good. It was just, it was pretty sad. And the sad thing about that was I really didn't start drinking until I was 30. I drank for 12 years straight. And after that, after my stroke, I quit. And it's been 13 years now, 14 years
That's so
since I
interesting. I
drank.
didn't really drink until I was 30, around that
That's
time.
so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I, yeah, 30 years. And I was in it to win it. Let me tell you, I was, oh, yeah. I dove in that bottle. And so, yeah, I just, yeah, for 12 years, I was hardcore. And now it's like, yeah,
Even though
it
it
is
was
what it is.
Yeah,
You
but
live and
even though it
learn.
was out of necessity, congratulations on, sticking to not drinking, because you don't hear that
Oh,
enough.
yeah. No, I'm, no, no. And I take it with a grain of salt, and this was just part of my life. And it was a lesson that I learned.
Yep, that's
You know
why
what I
we're all
mean?
here for
And
lessons.
I do hear inadvertently on different memes and different things on Facebook and even on TikTok or whatever that, um, you know, you're better than you were yesterday,
Mhm.
you know, and it's true. And so I always try to tell people, I have my little coffee thought in the morning that I sometimes put on Facebook, different inspirational, you know, memes or thoughts or whatever, just because of fact, I think that should be something that people should do every day. I do
Yeah.
not look on my phone in the morning now and scroll immediately through Facebook because I can't. Because the first thing that I see and I hear, because I hear what I read.
Mhm.
I don't know if you know if you do that. When you read something, do you hear it audibly in your mind?
Um, I don't know if
Think
I've
about
tried
that.
that. I don't know.
When
Well,
you
do you
read,
mean just reading, not from spirit?
right, when you're just reading text or reading something, do you hear that person's voice or do you hear another voice? Do you know what I mean? It's
Oh yeah, no, I
the
audibly hear what
narrator's
I read.
voice.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So I do. So a lot of people probably don't realize that they do that. But I will hear most likely the voice that for some reason they all sound different from different people. Now, if it's their voice, I won't know until I hear that person's voice,
Mhm.
But so when I read something in the morning, it has to be something inspirational because that's the first thing that my brain digests. And I don't want that to sit down and fester in my soul about some jackass killing somebody else or whatever, or reading the news article that's going to sit there. And I have to look at something positive. I have to
Right.
look at a sunset. I have to look at something that's going to be the start of my day. And if I don't, my day doesn't, my day goes to shit. If I'm focused on that negative, the first thing I read, that's why I
Mhm.
had to get away from that. I had to stop. And a lot of people, if they would put that positive aspect in front of them every morning when they wake up, drinking their coffee or doing whatever, that's the first thing that you're going to digest in your brain.
Yep.
Is what you see and what you read.
Mhm.
And people
No, it
don't
makes total
quite
sense.
understand
Yeah.
that. And I just when I started doing it, it made things a little different. You know what I mean? There's times where I had to stop myself and say, "Nope, I'm not reading that. I'm not looking at that." And I'd pull up a picture of a sunset or the mountains or something that
Mhm.
I enjoy. You know what I mean? To kind of feed that positive breeds positive and negative breeds negative.
Right. So I do
And so
something.
that's the way it is.
Mhm. I do something not
Go ahead.
quite Well, I guess it's kind of similar. So what I do is, because I mean, there's studies that how you speak to water, how you treat water, the environment it's in, it chemically changes. Or maybe chemically isn't the right way,
Hmm.
but it changes. There's scientific tests about it.
Hmm.
So what I do
Yeah.
is I always drink cold water and they're always in these weird little tins. And honestly, on the inside, I have certain crystals. I don't know if you can, where's my camera? There's little
Yeah.
crystals in there, you can hear them. To try to get whatever crystals I put in there, the intentions, but I also speak positive affirmations into my water before I drink it.
That's that's awesome. That is totally awesome. And you know what actually would help that if you
Mhm.
did that when you have is if you would have a copper tin.
I'm sure I can find a piece of copper to stick on the bottom. There's still some room in there.
Right. So I've learned this over the last year or so, but copper and the ions and the water go hand in hand. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? So that's why that back in the 19 whatever 50s, 40s, whatever, they used to have copper pipes or copper siding or whatever in pools for people to heal once they
Okay.
once the um once people of I won't name any names or companies, but when certain people realized they weren't going to make any money out of this, people are getting better. They pulled all that copper out, all the copper piping, all of it. You know, they
Hmm.
don't have it. You don't have any. If you look at the old buildings, those asylums and this and that, way back in the day, that still have original doors.
Hmm.
If you ever look, most of those doorknobs are copper
Hmm.
because once you grab onto that copper, you constantly touch that copper. That copper, it's the positive ions and whatnot, and you go back to people wearing copper bracelets. Yeah, that was a thing back in the day. You know
It's
what I
funny you
mean?
said that because
So
you reminded me I have a copper bracelet and I was thinking like, where did I put that? Because I bought one but never wore it. So I guess I'll have to put it on.
yeah, I mean, it's I would wear a copper bracelet every once in a while, a couple times a week. I wouldn't wear it all the time because it
Hmm.
doesn't always mixes with me because I'm so emotional and my frequencies go up and down.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like, yeah, I wear it when I'm relaxed. You know what I mean? And I'm just kind of chilling. You know what I mean? But I haven't found mine. I don't even know where mine's at.
I'll I'll
So
have to try it though because
so yeah,
I react weird to different metals like hematite. My daughter and I
I
got
do too.
matching.
I do
Oh,
too.
do you?
Hmm.
Interesting. So I tried wearing
Yeah,
hematite and my skin boiled.
yeah. Like if right. So if I take if like I'm taking a nap or something, or if I go to sleep, if I grab my big huge crystal, um, the the main crystal, I can't remember the name of it.
Mhm.
Um, what the fuck is that? Anyways, but I'll grab it and I'll hold it in each hand for a few minutes, and then I'll go to sleep. I'll have really vivid dreams. You know what I mean? Or I'll hold uh, Termulite black crystal.
Mhm. I'm horrible with the
I
crystal
used to
names.
now I used to put those I used to put those black crystals obsidians. I used to put those in my pockets when I would go onto an investigation
Mhm.
and would get nothing. No EVPs, no nothing, no I would anything up here. And they'd be
Hmm.
like, for some reason, I don't know why, but when I would take those obsidians out, then I would be able to see things a little bit differently. So
Interesting.
they're a very good protective stone. If you want to kind of protect yourself or whatever, if you need a break from that, obsidian works really well
I
in
think that might
protection
be
and
what this is because
this
these
and
are all just black crystals here. I think these are obsidian.
yeah, right. Hmm. So I mean, most of these rocks and most of these crystals work different for different people. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? They're not the same. Everybody has a different frequency. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to find the stone, the crystal that is good with your frequency.
Yeah.
Have you ever ran into a person where you met the person and you like the person, but you know that your frequency just does not mix, and you can only take them in souls in small doses.
Yes,
Does that
so
make
many
sense?
times. Yeah, so many times. Yes.
So you like it's like working with somebody. It's like, yeah, I kind of like this person, but God, I just can't. I can only take so much of that in doses because it's just too much.
Yes, and then you feel guilty because
That's
you're like,
the
they're a
same.
nice person. They haven't done anything, but I just can't.
Right, right. But you still, it's just like, yeah, I just can't. I have to kind of laugh because it's like, I'm sorry, but I just can't.
Yeah.
Your frequency. But then you've got people who are really negative and they're like, and that their frequency really does not mix with yours,
Hmm.
and you could just feel it. But there's a part of you that still wants to be nice to that person.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But that speaks volumes from you. You know what I mean? That's a good thing.
Hmm.
Because you're seeing the lighter side of things. I don't have hatred towards people. I used to like dislike a lot of people, but I just have to chalk it up as in that frequency doesn't match with mine. And
Right. And if you
I've ran
hate
into
somebody, mhm,
quite a few. I've run into quite a few people in the paranormal field like that. Uh, pair of celebrities to be exact. No, won't
mhm,
name any names, but there's a few that, and they don't like me at all. I mean, they will not talk to me. They will, yeah. And it's like, wow. And I did nothing to them because of the fact that I do believe that some of that darkness is still on them.
mhm.
You know what I mean? And so when you come in with light, darkness doesn't like that.
Yep. I was just about to say the darkness
I've run
doesn't
into
like the
quite a
light.
few people in the paranormal field that have a lot of darkness around them, and they don't like me at all. So I know which ones to stay away from. That's why my circle's small.
Yeah.
So holy crap, it's like an hour and 12 minutes.
Oh, yeah. So it is.
Damn.
It didn't seem like it.
Yeah. Well, this has been really fun, and I would love to have you on again sometime because this. I mean, I'm sure we could talk about this stuff
Oh,
all
yeah.
day
No,
long.
definitely. It's been fun.
You know. Yeah. So, do you have uh like social media that you want to share with anybody or?
Um, this is when I wish Nate could pop in because he knows my stuff. So I'm on Facebook, Morgan Caldwell. I'd say that's probably where I'm the most active, and I'm not super active there. Um, I'm getting better.
Mhm.
I have TikTok, and I believe that's morgs_325. Um,
Yep.
I think my Instagram may be the same. I do have a YouTube. I'm contemplating uploading on there again. Because I think I want to start practicing with Nate in person and possibly posting videos about that because I think it's interesting how we do it. And that I think might be the same name. I think it might also be morgs_325.
Okay.
I'm very bad with social media. But also I have an event coming up and I'm going to butcher the name, the Bearded Bash at Broadhead. I think that's called Bearded Brothers Bash,
Oh,
June 5th and 6th at Broadhead Manor in
yep.
Wisconsin.
I was a, yeah, I was invited. I was invited to that. Yep. I was invited to that.
Nice.
Um yeah, that's is Nate going to be there?
Yeah, so Nate and I will both be there. We're going to be co-leading an investigation, I believe, with somebody else. So we'll be there. I think we're getting there Thursday night, so we can be there for Friday and Saturday for the investigations.
What day is it?
June 5th and 6th. So Friday, June 5th is going to be an investigation and a meet and greet, and then June 6th is the like fundraising event itself, and then an investigation.
Oh, I might have to go to that Friday because I don't think I work that day. So that'd be cool to see you guys. Let's see
Yeah,
Nate again.
it'd be nice to meet you in
So I
person.
didn't think I was already invited too. I think they invited me. So I have a couple different invites to go to there at Broadhead. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, and it's only 45 minutes from my house, an hour, not even.
Oh, that's not bad. I'm excited to
So
go there because when Nate
no.
was there, I was picking up on stuff in Massachusetts.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting. There was, I got the first time I was there, I got yelled at by the one of the presidents or the presidents, the principals. Uh, Told me not to stand up or step on the grass when I walked in there. I did it anyways.
Mm,
So yeah, yeah. So I try to kind of keep myself not away from it. I mean, I don't try to pick up too much because I know that I'm at some point that I'm going to be going there again, and I kind of want to experience it. You know what I mean? Like you said, you just kind of want to. It's like cold calling.
yeah,
You don't want to know what it is, and
right. Anytime
so
Nate
yeah,
mentions it on his show, I drop out. I pop back in a few minutes later
mm,
to see if they're still talking about Broadhead and pop out if they are.
yeah, yeah. You said great show. I enjoyed it. Listening on the conversation. It's the
Thank you.
beard bra.
I said I was going to butcher it. I'm
So
horrible with it. I'm new to this,
that's
people.
right.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I want to thank you again, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in. You can check this out on YouTube. And having said that, you've been a great guest, and I want to thank you again. So
No, thank you for
this
having me.
is this has been really fun.
It
So
has
yeah,
been.
yeah.